This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Let's go around the grounds. First of all, the West Coast Fever. They continue their dominance since Janelle's got back into the team. They haven't lost the game, Nat.
No, and they knocked off the Swifts for the first time. They were undefeated until that match, and the Fever beat them by 11. It was a comprehensive victory.
Feel the fever, everybody.
Well done. Olivia Wilkinson landed a couple of the super shots.
Yes,
It's good to see. Yeah.
Okay, that's what they've been needing to make sure that they compete with the other teams when the finals come around.
Yeah.
Sorry, forgive my ignorance. How do you do a two-pointer?
Just like this, Ross.
The last 5 minutes of each quarter, right?
Yep.
They sound a siren. That means that any shots from the super shot zone, which is the outer part of the ring, it's painted a different colour.
A little, so it's like their equivalent.
It's like of a three-pointer, but it only happens in the last 5 minutes of each quarter, which, I mean, either have it or don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
Cool.
Moving over to the tennis in the French Open. First of all, if you read, I didn't see the match between Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff. But when you got online straight away, they were bagging out Sabalenka because once she was speaking at the press conference, that she lost.
Yeah.
She said that she was really upset that she played so badly.
She came across a little salty rather than being gracious.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think it's
that's what the article was
suggesting. Yes, and it really frustrates me because these people are writing articles and it's generally always the same. I guess it gets us clicking.
Yeah, I know.
That's the whole deal. But it's not a true reflection. She played the worst game that's been played in women's tennis in terms of unforced errors, that entire competition.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you can't play any worse.
Yeah. But also, how about upping the winner? Do you know what I mean? Like from the writer's point of view, the journo's point
100%.
of view. Why aren't we celebrating the winner instead of saying, oh, she only won because she played so badly?
Yeah.
But maybe she forced her to play badly. Maybe Coco Gauff, that's just, she was in the zone and it's really hard.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional.
And deservedly.
It's just really hard when you're a number one tennis player.
No, I agree. We should be celebrating Coco's performance.
It's incredible.
And acknowledging the fact that Aryna, played terribly, but also, parts of it, and I'm not saying it's the whole thing because a lot of people want to say it was the whole thing that Coco dominated her in terms of making her play the extra shot. That wasn't the case, but there was elements of it. So, why go down that path and try to make her look like an absolute bitch? Because that's the way they were trying to do it.
Yeah, they were.
So anyway, that's what happened in the women. So Coco Gauff getting over the line there to take another Grand Slam title, which is good news. And in the men's game, which is overnight, it was Carlos Alcaraz claiming back-to-back French Open titles. He won in 5 sets against Yannick Sinner. The last 2 sets, the whole game was just neck and neck.
Yeah.
So it was 6-4, so 4-6, 4-6, 4-6, 7-6, I think, 4-6. Then it went 7-6, 7-6.
Yes.
So there was nothing that separated those guys the entire way through.
That's right. That means there's only been a couple of breaks. Yeah. Incredible.
Isn't it amazing the benefit the French Open has for clay-based players?
Yeah, so the Spaniards do very well, famously. I mean, Rafa won 14 of them, so he's got the bulk of them. But yes, they clearly, that's what they learn to play on, and it shows when it comes to the Grand Slam.
Back in the day, it used to be Australia playing grass.
Yeah.
And the Australian Open was played at Kooyong, and we would play on grass, and we'd be doing particularly well. We go to Wimbledon to play grass, but it's not a thing that's
anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily favouring us Australians to be able to play a particular way. Do we need to change that?
Oh, are you going to get on the phone to Todd Woodbridge? I don't know who's in
Next
charge
time we have him. Next time we have him. What's that show he hosts
Tipping
again?
Point.
Tipping Point. I'll just come at him hard with a grass court tennis situation. And finally, let's talk about the West Coast Eagles.
We've run out of time.
The West Coast Eagles.
6 goals, 16. I think that says it all.
They were dominant.
Come on.
They were dominant in the third quarter.
How many inside 50s did they have?
It was something like
10,000.
Around half time, around 3/4 time, it was something like 50 to say 20 odd.
Yeah.
They were smoking him, absolutely smoking him, particularly the second and more so the third quarters when they had a number of shots.
Yeah.
They had a number of shots in the third quarter, but they literally didn't touch the ball in the last quarter.
Yeah. It was just like North Melbourne.
To turn your feet up like that, and North Melbourne just had it their own way and were able to score eventually, winning the game. The big deal for North Melbourne is that they get to come over to the southwest, and for everybody in Bunbury, we got to speak to the Premier the Mayor last week. It was a big moment, and North Melbourne really embraced it. This is Alistair Clarkson talking about their time in Bunbury.
a fertile football area, outside of, us as a footy club having a lot of Western Australians. I think we've got 7 or 8 on our list from born and bred Western Australians. But historically, our club has had a really, really strong link. Brownlow medalists in Glendenning and the cracker magic of Jimmy and Phil and many others. So our connection to the West has been really, really strong. To get an opportunity to play some home games, it's such a fertile football state in terms of their passion for AFL footy, and it just seems like for the state, 2 teams isn't enough. So we've provided them with the third team, and we're happy to do so.
Do we need a third team?
Do we?
Do we need North to play more games, particularly down the southwest? Can they get more people into that ground? 12,000, 13,000?
Yeah. That's the problem, isn't it? Like, they sold that ground out so quickly.
Of course. Well, the West Coast have got enormous amount of supporters.
Yeah, I mean,
and all the North Melbourne
literally busloads of people come up from Busselton and Bunbury every home game. So, yeah. More people in that over would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, it continues to be a success down in the southwest. It's a great place
weather
to visit.
for it.
There's just be careful of all the witches' hats going down there. Obviously, someone's making a fortune by hiring them out. Don't get in their way.
That's your biggest concern, isn't it? The witches' hats.
It's crazy.
Well, presumably it's just work in progress, and it will. That I don't think the witches' hats are permanent.
No, it's a stitch up. It's a stitch up.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Well, Ange Postecoglou is currently looking for a new job. I saw him on Seek this morning. He's just going through the...
He's updated his LinkedIn. He's good to go.
Well, we talked about it for a long time.
Yes, I know. But, come on. He delivered them a trophy. They hadn't won anything in 17 years.
17 years now, but it was also their longest, their poorest result in the EPL for a long, long time. And there was a thing that some fans were okay with him. It didn't seem like the majority were on his side, but from a player's perspective...
The players loved him, yeah.
Since they've won that title, there was a lot of goodwill coming his way.
Yeah.
And the player group, in what you've read online, whether that we only just got to see the good ones, good ones, have all echoed the same thing, that we're a good young group. Ange has done all the hard yards putting us together. Yes, yeah. We've got a future together, and it's he's done. He needs to be saluted.
The players seem to hold him in high regard from what we've seen.
We've seen, yeah. But it was just felt like it was inevitable, and they were talking about whether he'd stay or not. I just didn't know if there was room to move for the ownership because it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
100%. They've been through a few over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. I read somewhere his payout is something like $12 million.
Oh.
So there was,
10 mil.
So there was a payout of the contract, but also there was a bonus for winning the whatever. Yeah.
The Europa League.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Here's your bonus because you've done particularly well. You've hit this mark that we haven't done in decades almost. And see ya.
See you later.
Yeah.
You're like, that's fine. I'll collect my check on the way out.
Yeah. It's such a tough gig.
It's all right to stop working. I'll take that.
What I like about what I like and don't like, first of all, what I dislike in international sport to that level and like the NBA and NFL in American sport is people get the sack of the drop of a hat. Yeah. What's the good? Two really positive parts if you get the sack, you're not kibosh for another job.
That's right.
And in Australian sport, particularly AFL, you get the sack, everyone goes, oh, it must be terrible. And rarely do you get the opportunity to get another job. Also here in Australia, that once you hit, I'm going to say 55, getting close to 60, everyone says you're too old.
Unless you're Kevin Sheedy. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
There'll never be another Kevin Sheedy.
No.
But over in the US in particular, you've got guys coaching up to 80.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's he going to do? Where's he going to go?
They haven't said yet. He's just going to take some time out with his family and spend some time. But I would have thought a guy who's won the Europa Cup is going to be in high demand.
There'll be people knocking on his door for sure.
I couldn't imagine him coming back to Australia, and certainly, who's going to be able to afford him in the A-League, and why would you want
to? The Matilda's job's taken, so...
Yeah, and if he gets the opportunity to front another big-time club, I'm sure he'll make that a winner. And it would be great to see an Australian like him he's forging a new identity for Australia in soccer, and... if he continues on that and gets another gig at one of those bigger clubs and moves forward, it's going to be big for us down here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The effect flows on, definitely.
And lastly, before we go, just want to shout out to the great Kelly Slater.
Oh, I'm sure he's listening. Morning, Kelly.
Of course he is. He is going
Speaking of 55-year-olds, yeah.
He has got a wild card entry into the next WSL event, which starts today.
He should be able to do whatever he wants. He should be able to rock up on the day and say, I'm surfing today. And they just go, okay, no worries. Heat 3, knock yourself out.
Kelly Slater, the GOAT, officially.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.